Hello and welcome back to Creative AI. I am Pixel Pia and this is the Prompt Lab, where we turn words into worlds. In today's episode, we are exploring the difference between a simple and a complex prompt. We are making 5 scenes, 2 versions of each. Same theme, different outcomes. So with that said, let's move over to my computer and Midjourney. So here we are in Midjourney, and here is how it works. For each theme, we test one simple and one complex prompt and see what happens. And as always, I am working in Midjourney 7. I have all my aesthetics set to 0, and we are using the image size 4 by 3. I also make sure that I have all my personalization turned off. And the very first prompt, the first simple prompt I should say, is a woman looking sad. And here we have the images. They show exactly what I asked, a woman looking sad. But none of them are really that interesting. So now we're gonna try the same theme but a more complex prompt. A melancholic woman in soft focus looking out a rain-covered window. Golden hour light, bouquet in the background, shot on 50 millimeters. And here we have these images. They definitely tells more of a story, more interesting, still showing a sad woman, but with much more interest in them. The next pair we are going to try is more of a surrealistic dreamscape. And we make the first prompt very simple. We just write a dream. And I must say that these images are quite interesting in themselves as a dream. But I want to try a more complex form where I give more instructions. So in this case, I wrote a dream of floating houses above a cracked desert, stitched clouds, glowing rivers in the sky, surrealism and pastel tones. And here, as you can see, I have really directed the content of my dream. The 4 images are more similar to each other than they were when we just wrote the word a dream. But it also gives me a better control of my image. Now let's try images with action and movement in them. The simple one is just a child running. And here we have them, all depicting a child running, all interesting in their own way. But it's more hit or miss what we get. Let's instead give Midjourney more directions and write a joyful child running through a glowing paper forest, motion blur, sunlight through trees, shot on 85 millimeter cinematic style. And here we can really see how we got control over the image much more than in the first version. I like these pictures, even though the first 4 showed a running child, but here I have set the whole atmosphere. Now let's try futuristic cityscape. And here we have them, look very typical Midjourney with the blues and the pinks for futuristic. But if we are using this for a specific project, we might need to be more complex in our details. A neon lit futuristic city at night, viewed from a rooftop, flying cars in the distance, cyberpunk style, high detail, reflective surfaces. And here we have the images with the more complex prompt. And the final pair of prompts I want to do is just one simple object. So we start with an old chair. And all of these are pretty interesting, especially this one I like, placed out in the woods. But if we want more control, we might instead say a weathered wooden chair in the center of an empty attic. Morning light through dusty windows, long shadows, cinematic composition. And here we have our chair placed in an empty attic with the dusty windows and the long shadows. Well, that was 5 examples of the differences between simple and complex prompts. Now let's line them up side by side and compare. Simplicity gives freedom for Midjourney to interpret. Complexity gives you more control. It's not about which is better, it's about what you need for your creative goal. So enjoy these images. Now I suggest that you try this yourself. Write 2 versions, one simple and one detailed, and see what changes. You might be surprised. This series is all about testing and experimenting. And in my next video, I am gonna test and experiment with the same prompt, but in different models of Midjourney. And if that is something that would interest you, I suggest you hit the little subscribe button and maybe even the bell so you get informed on when I upload. And as always, stay curious. Bye!